Hi, Carolyn. So here's what talk. So here's what happened in Carolyn Talks podcast. And this question is for both Leah and Bomani. I really enjoyed this film. I had to sit with it after I watched it because I'll be honest, I wasn't sure like which emotions or I wanted to feel or which or what I thought about everything that happened. But something that's been sticking with me is the concept of the monster. And like as you were saying, everyone always says everyone always correlates Frankenstein's monster with the monster. They don't really remember that the story is about Frankenstein himself. And this story, for me, this monster isn't the brother that's brought back. The monster that's haunting her is her anger, her fear, her grief, all of these emotions that she's feeling, all these dark emotions are the true monster and the true villain of this story. So I want both of you to talk about exploring the concept of the monster and all of these dark emotions through not only just the main character, Vicaria, but also her father and this little girl. Kids creep me out. And that little girl had me creeped out. She was like, I was side-eyeing for the entire time. But she's a bit of a little bird. She has her own sense of her own monster she's dealing with. So, Bomani, I want you to answer creating this story of this monster yourself first, and then for Leah, as the actress playing Vicaria, like all of these speak about processing all of these dark emotions and having to deal with Vicaria's own personal demons and monsters, as we say. So, Bomani, you first.
Y'all hitting hard. I like it. Well, shout out to Bomani Summer, you know what I mean? Shout out to Bomani, she really brought the heat. But no, I mean, for parts of this, I do love leaving it open for interpretation because I'm a big believer in a movie's relationship with its audience and how it speaks to you and things of that nature. So some of this, I will leave a little bit murky because I treasure that because there are a lot of movies that I watch that mean something to me, and it's like, it allows me to kind of sit and think and things of that nature. So, I don't want to dispel any of that for you. But as far as just dealing with like the representation of these monsters and these demons, I do think coming from this story of just understanding, systemic pressure and how it can mess with our emotions and things of that nature. And, how, I think as humans, how we can transfer, whether it be our trauma or our demons or, chips on our shoulder is important. For me, with Vicaria, an element of her is like, this is how she's dealing with, her emotions and what she's going through. Is through her book smarts and her intelligence and things of that nature. I think that this is how she processes these things. So for me, like, I think those are crucial elements while what I was thinking about while writing this movie. And Leah can speak to her side of it as well.
Yeah, again, it's kind of hard to say without giving too much away. But I think that was definitely the goal going into it, is really understanding the relationship with the creature, especially with Chris. And like you said, it's like a manifestation of all of her loss, all of her grief, all of her pain, her anger. And it all kind of manifests into what we then see as this quote unquote monster. But what I loved about this film, even reading the script, was you can obviously tell that there's multiple horrors here. It's not just the I don't want to say fantasy, but like the Frankenstein, Mary Shelley book aspect of it, where you're focusing on an actual monster. But like Bomani was saying, with systemic pressures, there's a lot of real horrors that happen in our own communities. And that's something that we're able to touch on. And just being like a young 17-year-old girl at the time when I was doing the movie, those were parts of Vicaria that I could relate to most. And if anything, her going to what may be to some people the most extreme version of dealing with her grief, it was almost healing in a way to see that that was her main objective or reason or way that she got through her pain.
So as I mentioned in my first question, I talked about the monster being the dark emotions that Vicaria was experiencing. But one of the other themes in this film that I really, really appreciated was sisterhood and the community that the female characters have. And I thought it was very special, especially because the original Frankenstein story was written by a younger Mary Shelley. She invented the supernatural and the supernatural genre. And so now you have a Black girl who is her own version of a Mary Shelley. She's doing something that scientists, if you're looking at this universe as being real, are saying is impossible, bringing back the dead to life, exploring science in a way that other scientists for years wouldn't have been willing to explore, that we know anyway. But I want you, Bomani, to talk about centering the story around, to me, not just one Black female character, but there's also the character of Aisha and that creepy little girl, Jada, played by Amani, and how these three young Black women, I think, talk about the generations of Black women, like there's the young, there's the teenager, burgeoning young woman, and then there's the mother, a burgeoning mother, and if your sisters perchance played a part in inspiring these characters, because at the beginning you said your sisters were your first connection with intelligence. And so I thought it was special that we have these three young female characters having this connection and showing how smart they are. And for you, Laya, talk about working with Amani and Riley and forming your own connections with these characters to help bring them to life and how they inspire you. Because one of my favorite scenes is the scene where Vakaria is getting her hair braided by Aisha on the front step. Like I was like, that's my childhood right there, going to my neighbor, getting my hair braided. So I want you to talk about you're working with these young female actresses and forming your own community with them on set. So Bomani, we'll go with you first.
Yeah, no, I think that, listen, I had a mother, it's like, I have a mother and, two older sisters, a middle older one, and then like an older one. So like, I definitely think, whether I like it or not, subconsciously, they were always my muse in this, but and my sister, my middle child sister, she was a weird little girl. So like, I won't put her on blast, it's like, but she was a strange one when we were little. But I think all those things were filtering through for this, and showcase it. Cause I would wake up in the middle of the night and hear both of them talking about shit that they didn't think I heard them talking about, and so I was, so, it's like, and the stuff that they, imparted on me, like that, specifically that scene with Riley when she's talking to her little brother, that was just what my big sister said to me. Like, that was just stuff that she would be doing. She's like, you go to school and you get educated with whatever weird shit they're telling you, and then you come home and I, have to uneducate you from the lies that they're saying, so to me, it was all basically coming from this human place of these women in my life trying to protect me and educate me, and my sister's trying to, so I can move through this world, and that was always an important part to them. They always told me when they're imparting this wisdom on me, it was just like, I'm only telling you this because when you get out there, it's not going to be as easy and you need as much weaponry to defend yourself as possible, so it was really just a testament to that and showcasing, at least what, home life, as far as I'm concerned, like, for me, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, this was what my humanity looked like.
Oh, one shout out to Riley as well.
Riley.
She's one, they're both sweethearts. I think from the very first phone call I had with Riley, because it was with Bomani where he kind of connected us both. She just has such a warm presence about her. And it's the same thing with Amani. She immediately felt like my little sister. I think we all just kind of like felt a bond when we first met one another. And it made scenes with them extremely fun. And again, I don't want to say not as difficult, but there was just something that was familiar about this feeling of sisterhood that I could relate to. Where I didn't have to pull or find anything too far within myself to get to a point where I felt comfortable with them. We were really lucky to get along from, I think, the first day. And even now, like when I saw them at our premiere at South by Southwest, like we just see each other and I feel all like warm and fuzzy inside. So that's just working with them. But I think that relationship between Vakaria, Aisha, and Jada is such an important one, And even specifically with Aisha and Vakaria, because these are two young women with completely different perspectives and mentalities. A lot of the time, Vakaria doesn't agree with the things that Aisha has to say. But again, you see them, these two young women having completely different opinions, but they're still able to have dinner together. They're still able to be love surrounding them and with them. So again, that love that we have on screen, it definitely translated on screen. And I really hope I get to see them both soon.
Great, thank you so much. And I just love the whole idea of having not only Black women representing Black women in STEM, but also in social justice and advocacy, because I see Aisha and Jada representing both that, you know. So I appreciate that you gave us these characters, Bomani, and for Leah, you and Jada and Amani and Riley, for giving us these three representations of what Black women and what Black young girls are, you know, in real life. This is who we are in real life. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.